In this section, what I'd like to talk to you about is the documentation that supports App Designer and C#, and also the video training courses that come with it. So the first thing to note is that Syspro have created a brand new developer hub that pulls together all the customization and development tools that we would use for implementing Syspro. This is now called developer.syspro.com. And if you actually log in, the first thing you'll be presented with is to log in with your Syspro online profile. If you haven't got one, then you register down here and you'll get allocated one. Once you've logged in, then you'll be presented with the Developer Hub, which we're going to have a look at shortly. Now, once you're in there, a couple of very specific things for C#. What we've done is we developed what we call a C# A memoir for Syspro VB scripters. What we've tried to do here in this document, and again, I'll show you shortly, is to show the commonly used VB script syntax and its equivalent C# syntax. So one should be able to certainly navigate and replicate some of the VB script stuff without too much trouble and without having to do too much research on the internet. And then once you've been through things like that, then there's the application designer, there's the overview guide, which is a huge tome, but it does describe every single control in App Designer. There are a series of video courses, 8 or 9 of them, and they're quite lengthy, describing the different controls, mechanisms, so on like that. But despite the fact that the code in them is VB script, which one hopes you're familiar with, all the controls of functionality and the way that the App Designer works is exactly the same whether you're using VB script or C#. So even though you are focusing on C#, it's well worth having a look at the other videos if you haven't seen them. And then finally, there is a brand new forum, one section for VB scripters and the other for C#. So those are quite a large range of documentation and resources which you can use to start your journey on the C# scripting. So let's go and have a quick look at the Developer Hub. Once you've logged in, you will end up on the home page, and there are a variety of ways in which you can get at the information that we need. So as an example, the Abe Memoir is one of the newer documents, so it appears here. And if we click on here, it will take us to the C# Abe Memoir. And if we have a click on here, it will open the PDF, which is fine. Now, as we scroll down here, we've created a content, and it starts off by just talking about some simple gotchas. As an example, C# is case sensitive, VB script is not. Assignment operators, that's the equal sign, and the condition, whether something is equal, is different. And I go through all sorts of bits and pieces here. So as an example, if we do here, what we're saying is the equivalent of the equivalent C# command to the VB script select case is now the switch case, but note the colon at the end of each and the break and so on like that. So we discussed this briefly in our demos, and there's a brief example. Then we talk about strings. How do you trim them? How do you pad them? Handling large string sets, best way of doing it because it's different in C#. Converting strings to other types like integer, decimals, and dates, and so on. So what you'll find, hopefully in here, that we've covered most things, including things like how to handle XML, explaining what the using directive is, error handling, and also discussing some of the Syspro inbuilt methods. So hopefully that will be quite useful. If we come back out of here and we scroll down a bit further, we can there's a section called Dive into Code. We can either go and find our application designer documentation through here, or you can come to the top and you can pick up the build, and then we go to application designer, and there we see our overview guide, our courses. So if we click on here, we'll find the courses that we're actually looking at. There's an intro, the tree view control, and so on like that. And as I say, all these controls are identical. It's just the scripting language you're using to maneuver and create variables and so on like that. So if we close this, you've got the access to the forum from here, and also the online help. So there's plenty of resources for you to do the research. And obviously, as you're learning C#, there's a huge amount of information on the internet. Just simply type in something like, as an example, C# string concatenation as an example. If you wanted to do strings, and hey presto, you'll get worked examples of how to do these things. It's very, very simple. So that, in a nutshell, sums up the resources and the documentations that actually come with the app designer.